top 3 dream feuds for MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Starting at number 3, is going to go right into it. For me, is Kazuchika Okada. Kazuchika Okada is now the Continental Champion. And honestly, he's not done much. He had a phenomenal start when he had a match in mini feud anyway, with Pac. But he hasn't done much. And he's in this group of the elite. And funnily enough, he's probably one of the most interesting parts of it. I think maybe even arguably the most interesting part of it. And it's funny because he barely talks. So I think what would be fun for someone like MJF to feud with Kazuchika Okada is obviously the elite part of it, but also making Kazuchika Okada much more of a star. I think for what MJF has to offer and how smug and much of a douchebag and also kind of unironically funny that Okada is, I think that MJF could truly, genuinely bring the best out of Okada, and I think that's a quality that I don't think should be slept on. Just my opinion, but I think that they could put on a phenomenal match. MJF is very, very adaptable, one of the best wrestlers in the world, technically, brawler, agility, strength, all of it. He is the main wrestler that can do almost any and everything and work with any type of style. And I think Kazuchika Okada, who works a slower, much more methodical, in-ring psychological style, works really well for MJF. And I think MJF could really bring the best out of Okada. And he can learn a lot of things from MJF in the midst of having a feud with him. So I think Okada would be a phenomenal feud, not only just for the elite storyline, but also just the improvement that both of them have with learning, him being able to learn heel type mannerisms and, in-ring psychology and the way you talk to the audience and promos, etc. He could learn that very well from MJF, and Kazuchika Okada is a phenomenal talent, and all he needs is just a little bit more time and experience to adapt to the American audience. So I think Kazuchika Okada would be a phenomenal person to feud with. Next would be Swerve Strickland. I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is a absolute no-brainer. Swerve right now is AEW champion, and honestly, what other reason would you not have MJF fight Swerve Strickland? They had that backstage promo, that segment where, not promo, segment. They had that segment where they were talking during the Devil storyline, where Samoa Joe was still protecting MJF. And they had that small back and forth. They got a little bit of small history on the indies. And Swerve, for all that, he's shown recently, he can be pretty great on the mic. But I think he's not at the level of MJF. And sometimes it takes like an MJF or like a John Cena to cut a nasty promo on you for you to really, let your wings fly, get your wings out and flap them for a little bit to get yourself off the ground. And I think Swerve Strickland could really, really just be molded into a pure, polished diamond going up against someone like MJF. And they are both such gritty characters. They are both so raw in the ring and so smooth. And then, although I think MJF has the advantage on every front, on a technical front, on a promo front, Swerve can really work hard to keep up with him. And he's shown in the past when feuding with Hangman just how far he can go and how much potential he truly has just as a wrestler overall. And I think MJF is the perfect person to revitalize and show how phenomenal Swerve Strickland is, since Hangman Adam Page has no longer been around to, feud or have that, interesting dynamic with on a weekly basis. So I think MJF versus Swerve is undoubtedly one of the best feuds that MJF could have. And they should not at all be anywhere close to coming to a one and done, match. They need a feud, and they could do a lot for each other. A lot. Championship on the line or not, they could do a lot for each other. So absolutely, I think it's a no-brainer. Swerve Strickland versus MJF as a feud needs to happen. Next would be, this is a bit of an obvious one, okay? If you didn't think I was gonna say this, or you didn't think this would be on the list, I don't even think you're watching AEW. Will Ospreay. I don't even know how in depth I should go with this. I mean, it's Will Ospreay. It's Will Ospreay, and it is MJF. I mean, what do you really say? I mean, you have one of the best technical wrestlers in the world versus, I'm going to say it. I mean, it should be said. No, we shouldn't hide from it anymore. MJF being one of the best wrestlers, period, in the world. Promo-wise, in-ring-wise, everything. He has everything. They've both, I think the best way to weave this storyline is their accomplishments. Yes, MJF has a bit more maybe under his belt in terms of the promo that he had when he spoke on Will Ospreay saying he was the best, and the people that he beat versus the people Will Ospreay did not beat. However, they both beat Bryan Danielson, and I think that's a phenomenal thing to work off of, because they both probably gave Bryan Danielson, in my opinion, his best matches in AEW. Will Ospreay versus Bryan was ridiculous, instant classic. I mean, if that match didn't have you on your feet, I don't really think you like wrestling all that much. You might strictly just be one of those people who are just like, I only watch WWE and WWE is all I'm gonna watch. But that match was a masterpiece. But so was MJF versus Bryan Danielson. They had a match that's just, no one thought, especially at that time with how much people doubted Bryan versus MJF, how much they doubted MJF's end of that match, doubted that he could work with someone like Bryan Danielson. And he got in the ring with him and showed him up. He did. Let's just call a spade a spade. He showed Bryan Danielson that he can go with him and even exceed a little bit above him. Both Will Ospreay and Maxwell Jacob Friedman can go in the ring like like Goku and Vegeta can fight in the desert. They can go. And not only that, but they can cut some mean promos. I mean, MJF is the best. MJF is the best. I don't think Will Ospreay is on that level, but we've seen Will Ospreay get in the ring and cut promos that people did not think he could cut. And that was one of the main concerns with Will Ospreay coming to AEW. And what better way to solidify that this man is an all-around, just one of the best wrestlers right now in the world, than going in the ring and not cutting one of the best in-ring matches, but cutting one of his best, if not his best promo against a guy who is infamous and well known for frying people on the mic. So I think it's a no-brainer that we should have MJF versus Will Ospreay. And obviously the match they have, it's likely just going to be a classic. It's likely going to be a masterpiece. But the story, the promos that would be cut in between that time period up until the match actually happens, and continue to have matches, I don't think you could get better than that. I think everything that these two have to offer would be at its very best because of the things that they can do on the mic and in the ring. And I don't think it's any more compelling than that. So truthfully, these two could really define AEW in a way that it needs right now, because it hasn't been the best. And with MJF being back, and, you know, right now he's got a bit of a nothing thing going on for Forbidden Door. But when this is over, we need to explore some of these options, because, I mean, these are just waiting for him to come and just tear things down. MJF is ready, and honestly, he's already proved that he's one of the best. And I just think that these three feuds that, you know, that could happen need to happen, you know, as his contract goes. So just a thought, just a, you know, bit of a discussion. Let me know what you guys think. Some stuff that you might have on your mind, some matches or some feuds that you would like for MJF to have that have not happened yet.